record.
Welcome everyone to the Infinite Soul podcast, and it's my great pleasure this morning to be chatting to my friend, my colleague, and my mentor in many respects, Kas Naidoo. Now, I've recently been on a journey with Kas through one of her programs, Becoming a Conscious Millionaire, and it's been such an opening for me because even as a coach, you can never assume that you know everything. There's always something to be learned. There's another layer of the onion to be peeled. And for me, what this program meant was opening up my perspectives to millionaire in inverted commas, but in all aspects of my life. And I have to say, I have gained so much out of this. It's opened up so many perspectives, helped me think differently, helped me elevate. So without wasting any more time on me, let's bring Kas Naidoo in and delve into this amazing world of self-exploration. Kas, welcome to the Infinite Soul podcast. It's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you so much, Devan. It's always wonderful to chat with you and spend some time. I love unscripted conversations.
It's the best kind, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. So I have no idea what to expect, but I'm here and I'm present.
So, what's it, 5 months ago, hey, Kas? 4 or 5 months ago, I was invited to participate on this program with Kas. And a couple of things happened for me. I realized that for the first time in a long time, I had zero resistance, zero thought, everything. It was response to the universe saying, this has been presented to you. This is what you need to do. And I think first big win for me because my entry was absolutely open and to absorb. And as we went into the program, I realized that, hey, this was way more than becoming a financial millionaire. That's just the tip of the iceberg. In fact, in my opinion, it was the natural result of everything that we were putting in place and readjusting in our lives. Kas, tell us about this program. Tell us where it started, where the seed was planted, and why you feel it's important.
I think, I started the program in different phases, you can say. I believe that as coaches, we focus on areas where we've had the greatest challenges in our own lives that we've managed to overcome, right? So we spend years and years of studying and researching and trying different techniques and tools and processes to get to a point where you see, okay, now I kind of have a formula for creating more financial success in my life. And that is when I decided, okay, it's time for me to start sharing this, because when we spend years learning something, we can teach it in months, right? And I think that's the joy of being on a program like this. So it started with my own challenges and overcoming that and creating more of a prosperity mindset for myself. I had extreme challenges financially. I've had someone come into my life and basically steal money, car, jewelry, put me into overdrafts, and it was really, really hectic time in my life. And I think, from a place where you feel like you don't have any options at all, and if you can make your way out of that and get to a place where you feel, I now feel more at ease with prosperity coming in. I have tools to invite prosperity into my life, to attract it in. It doesn't have to be, I don't believe that anyone needs to be working 40-hour weeks or more. I think that we need to lead lives where we have very balanced lives. So we have work on the one hand, where we are serving a purpose. We have relationships with our significant other, we have family, we have friends, we have colleagues, we have spirituality. You know, it's bringing all of those elements together. So all of those elements require time, energy to thrive.
I think this is what, when we hear the constant phrase of balance, this is what we're talking about, isn't it? It's about bringing all those aspects of life into that balanced, harmonious state. And we know
Yes.
from what we've been taught and what we teach others, that when something's out of balance, it has a ripple effect on everything else. And
Yes. And I think what, you know, when it comes to us stepping into our fullest potential as human beings, we can start in any area of our lives. Like some people have challenges in the relationship area. So that means that area is the doorway for you to reach your full potential, right? So when you start learning more about communicating on a deeper level, resolving conflicts, understanding each other, you know, knowing love languages and all of that, when you go in, walk that path and you uncover and you unpack all the limiting beliefs you've carried and things, and you do the inner healing work, you emerge as that great version of yourself. So the relationship challenge is just the doorway. So if you have financial challenges, then a program like BCM, Becoming a Conscious Millionaire, is just the doorway for you to step into your fullest potential. So along the way, you either creating epic relationships because you are the best version of yourself, or you create immense prosperity because you are the greatest version of yourself.
so that doorway is there for everybody in different spaces. For one person, it might be a red door, the other, it might be a green. But they're basically taking us to the same concert hall, call it, or whatever you want, where we can play out the symphony of our finest lives. And you mentioned just now limiting beliefs, and I would assume the blocks to go along with that. That for me was the unearthing of a diamond when we touched on these things, because it brought to the surface things that were packed away deep in the subconscious, the things that were almost of no significance when they happened, but placed an indelible mark or a dent in this cake tin where I'm now baking my prosperous life, put it that way, to use that old analogy. And in identifying those things, it just was another layer of the onion peel. Tell us about these limiting beliefs and these blocks. What is the effect? What are they? What can they be? And how do they affect us?
Yeah, you know, limiting beliefs are formed in one of two ways. Firstly, if we look at the first 7 years of our lives, all of us, right? Our brain is in an ultra receptive state. So it's almost like a hypnotic state. We call that, you know, the brain is in an alpha state. So in that state, it's almost like it's very easy to be hypnotized or programmed with certain beliefs. So if you go back and you look at the first 7 years of your life, so if we're just talking about prosperity, so take a look at what circumstances did you grow up in? What were your parents' beliefs around money? What were the things you heard often around money? Like if you wanted a new toy as a child, what were you told? Was it like easily available for you? Or was it, no, you know, we can't afford that? What did you hear constantly? Like money doesn't grow on trees. We hear that constantly, right? Money is the root of all evil. When we're in school, we have to debate that. Now imagine debating for money is the root of all evil. So why in your life would you ever attract money to you when in your mind, in your subconscious mind, you believe it is evil, right? We talk about the stinking rich. And so when our association with money is a negative one, we will ultimately keep money away from us, right? So it's what you heard repeatedly, but it's not just what we hear. What we feel is far greater. It has a far greater impact, and that's what we realize. So you could have been in your room playing, reading, doing whatever you're doing, and your parents could have been in another room having an argument about money. And it's the energy of that that creates this feeling of stress in your body. Now, there
Yeah.
is a study that was done where they tested the cortisol levels in the urine of children when their parents are having an argument. And the cortisol is a stress hormone, right? So the cortisol levels increase during those times. So imagine if your parents were arguing about money or finding it really, really stressful. They can't make the bills. It's difficult to pay your school fees, or if there's any extra things you want to go on an excursion, you want to take karate classes, whatever it was, and they couldn't do that, then that programming is now it kind of like conditioned into us. And we always think it's just the mind where it's conditioned, but it's not. Conditioned into every cell in our body, right? So when we want to shift, it's not just that we're going to change our mind, because that would be easy, right? If we said money is the root of all evil, we change that to, hey, money is great. Money is awesome, money is wonderful. But then when we do a simple shift like that and we see there's still no results from it, it's because viscerally you're holding that belief in your body.
Yeah.
More than just changing the mind, you have to physically release those things. You have to emotionally release those limiting beliefs that we've taken on. So it's the belief and it's the emotion attached to whatever you experience. Like you could have asked for something and then you got shouted at. And the thing is, the parents are undergoing financial limitations, but you don't understand that as a child. As a child, you just simply feel like, they don't love me. And that's the emotion then becomes blocked. It becomes stagnant somewhere in your body. You're holding that. And we don't even realize we're doing it. And so we're working really, really hard. We go out, we get all the qualifications, we get those jobs, or we start those businesses. And we wonder, why is it that I'm always hitting a ceiling when it comes to my income? So I make money and then I hit that ceiling and then I fall down. If I make 1 month more money than that ceiling, the next month I'm making a lot less. So you're never going to break through that ceiling as long as those limiting beliefs and emotions are still stuck in your body.
And we know that this can be so deep rooted, and they're sneaky because you don't even know they're there. They happened at a time when you were just a sponge and receiving and taking in everything you could from your environment. Now, when one thinks our greatest teachers at those periods is our family, the people we spend time with, while we learn very wonderful things from them, we also take on a lot of their anxieties, their blueprints. And to share something personal, through this course, we were asked to define our view of what life is through various parts of the course. I did that, and those views changed. And my very first honest view that was held very deeply was life is struggle. And as a result, in much of my life, that was perpetuated subconsciously. And it's just what you grow up with, it's conditioning. Just like nobody's born a racist or hateful. These are things that you are taught. In the same way, these things
Yeah.
nobody ever sits a racist down and says, you must hate these people. The child learns from what they see and they experience around them and form their conditionings around this. In the same way, that can be applied to being a loving person as well. You are just susceptible to what is happening around you and you don't even know.
Yeah. And it
So,
doesn't have to
oh, go
be
ahead.
like parents are abusive, or it doesn't have to be that. In those cases, the conditioning is a lot deeper, but you could have had really amazing parents, but they saw a difference between them and those people that have money.
Uh-huh.
So there's a separation. It's like we make do with what we have. We are happy with a little. And you're getting all the love, so you feel that those beliefs are okay, and we take them on. So we play a small game in life. We don't really reach for our fullest potential. We don't reach for what we can actually achieve in this life. So we're playing small, but we don't understand why.
Mm. I think we've spoken about it as well. This was the missing link in The Secret, in that it was all told to us about what we should be thinking. But the real generator of and link to those thoughts is how we are feeling when we are thinking of those things, and identifying and being conscious of when I'm feeling good and when I'm feeling not good, when am I feeling abundant and full of growth and when am I not, and then manipulating those states to serve you as opposed to have them dictate to you how you are feeling at a particular point. And I found that hugely empowering. um, and being able to apply that to this area of my life, it helped me take even more control of the area that I wanted to grow, and fertilize that soil to produce.
Yeah, I really think, when we look at the research done by the Heart Math Institute, for example, so they measure the brain field and they measure the heart field. So thinking, feeling. And the heart field is actually 5,000 times stronger than the brain field. So we can see from that the feeling is 5,000 times stronger than the thought. So we think that we just have to switch our thinking and then life is going to change. And if you have deep-seated issues that you have not dealt with, then you feel like you are stuck. It's like, I'm working so hard, I'm doing all of this, I have these qualifications. Why am I not earning the big bucks? Right? It's because
Why does it never work out for me? Why do I always come so close? Fingertips, fingernails, and then dispersion.
yeah. And
And
that's
often
because we need to shift emotion more than the thought. Yes.
now the empowering thing about this is that emotion and what you've taught us is that we can manipulate that. That is so hugely empowering. It literally is boundless because any situation can be framed into a way that supports you and your vibration. What happens when we flick over to the better channel? Yes, what happens inside us?
Exactly. And all we have to do is make a decision. And people make decisions in one of two ways. Um, the one way is where you get to a point and you just say, I'm ready for something bigger. I want to consciously create my best life. And you can make that decision right now in this minute, right? Unfortunately, Devin, the majority of us wait until we have major challenges coming at us. And when it gets so difficult and we are at a place where we feel, I cannot take any more, then you're forced to make that decision, right? The same thing happens in relationships. I always say to people, before you get married, you need to do all the work you can do to ensure you are the best partner you could be. But people
Mm.
do that. So they fall in love and feel, oh, I'm going to live happily ever after. So you come together, and in that falling in love phase, you're just so happy. You think you're going to be happy for the rest of your life. So we don't have the tools, we don't have the skills, we don't have processes to help us when problems are going to arise later on. So they wait, and then the first time they have this big fight, and then they stop talking for a few days, and then they go back and pretend nothing happened, and they carry on. So it's that cycle. Each time that challenge is going to be a little bit bigger. you didn't pay attention, you didn't see it, it's going to be a little bit bigger. The same thing happens with money. So we have like, a couple extra bills and we're really feeling the pinch. Then we get through that and we carry on with life. And then the next time you get into a financial struggle, it's going to be even bigger, right? So that's what happened with me. When this happened so many years ago now, right, over 20 years ago, I was living very unconsciously back then. So I didn't realize that I had the power within me to determine my financial destiny. I didn't know that. So I was living quite unconsciously, and you have all these struggles, money's tough, and you get by. You just get by because that's what my parents did. They always just got by. So that's what I would do. As long as I was making enough money to pay the bills and, have a little bit extra. So maybe once a year you can have a holiday or you can go out to dinner a couple of times and watch movies, with your family. So as long as I could do those things, it was all right. And so the universe is trying to say, but Kas, there's so much more for you to do, to experience, and to teach. And I was just not hearing any of that, right? So what happens? The universe sends me somebody that's going to then take all of the money I have, plus a whole lot that I didn't have because it was the debt, right? The overdrafts, the credit cards, all of that. So take all of that, take your car, take your jewelry, take everything away. So you're literally left with no income at all and a whole lot of debts. So in that place, what happens? That is the worst possible space. Your back is against the wall. There's no one to ask for handouts, or, you just have to do it. So I'm saying, let's not wait until we're in a situation where it is so bad that you don't have any choice, that you have to then take action. And I'm saying, wherever you are right now with your finances, make a decision today that I want a better life. I know, and most of us know, somewhere inside of us, we're thinking, I know there's more for me, but I don't get there. I feel a calling for something greater, but I don't know what it is. See, so we feel those are the initial stirrings calling you to your best life. When we listen, when we pay attention, when we're conscious, we don't have to have the massive challenges to get to our best life. We can actually start taking those steps now and creating, manifesting that best life starting today.
The thing that I really appreciate about consciousness is that it's a light you can't turn off. When it's on for good and will permeate through all areas of your existence. It's just, there's no going back once you've opened the door, which is also very empowering, because if there's no going back and you know that, then Kas, there's no need for fear, is there?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think if we realize, we only fear because we don't realize how powerful we are. If we're small, then the world seems like the big bad wolf. But if we realize we are powerful beyond measure, then suddenly the world is not such a scary place anymore. Because yes,
Yeah.
we'll have challenges, but whatever happens, you get to a point where you say, I can handle it. So
Yeah.
it's not about avoiding risks and playing it safe, playing small. Because at the end of your life, you're not going to look back and say, hey, I played it safe. I got through this life, and I'm safe. But we're going to regret everything we didn't do, those challenges that came that we just pushed aside, the risks we didn't take, those laughs we didn't have, those holidays we didn't go on. That's what we will regret the most. So
It's always comes up.
how do we call all of that to us now?
For me personally, it's the belief that I have that the bridges we cross for ourselves, we cross for all that follow us, for my bloodline. So this work I'm doing as much is for my children in the long run, because they must not cross these bridges. I have to cross them. They'll have other things to do. They'll have other challenges to do. And for me at this point, I must leave them without these burdens, to weigh them down. Let them focus on growth and expansion rather than struggle and survival.
Yes.
And
Well,
that's so it's changing a mindset generationally as well.
Totally, yeah. You see, when we do work like this, we are breaking generational patterns. So
Yeah.
with money, you'll see there's a pattern and a pattern and a pattern. So somewhere the life you leading, if you go up the line, you'll find different ancestors that have lived similar challenges to what you have. Right? So when we realize that this is in our DNA, it's getting passed on generation to generation to generation, we get to a point and we say, and I think, especially when you have kids, it's easier to make these decisions because you do not want to pass on those negative patterns to your children. The that are empowering, oh, yes, we want to pass that on. We want to hold on to it. We want to be grateful for it and pass it on. But when we have limiting beliefs, experiences around money, we want to say it ends with me. Right? So if I can shift this, I'm passing on to the next generation a healthy relationship with money so that they can create lives of prosperity. Because once you have money sorted and you're not worrying about money, that's when you're tapping more into your purpose for being here, stepping to your greatest potential, living your best life. But as long as you have money issues and restrictions, you can't think beyond that. You can't think about making a difference in the world if you can't sort out your own life.
Yeah, certainly so. And in a way, it limits not only you, but everybody else that could be touched by you and influenced by you and who you could help grow just by being your authentic you. So it's that butterfly effect. By being our greatest selves, we have no idea of the reach of such to stand in our full authenticity.
It's like a light that comes on. So you're changing from within. You're letting go of everything that is false, that is not you, not the authentic you. When I talk about those limiting beliefs, the emotions, ego, when we let go of all of those things, it's that true, authentic self that begins to radiate from within. And when you do that, you become that light in the world. Now you'll find people in your life are going to look at you and say, hey, you look different. What are you doing? Why is your life easier? Why are all these opportunities coming to you? They're starting to see something's different about you. I mean, they even with the program, the other members that were on the same group as you, and you know how some of them are just radiating. We just got a message in the group the other day that one of the ladies there quadrupled her income. So how did
Absolutely.
quadrupled her income? And who does that in the space of 4 months?
And what it does for the rest of us is show us this works. This
Absolutely,
is
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, 4 people in the group three people have doubled it, one has quadrupled the income in 4 months, so, and everybody else is getting
but
opportunity
more
never
importantly than
had
that,
before.
we've had a look at these folks on day one
Yes.
and at the conclusion. Really, it's unrecognizable. The weights that have been lifted. The money and the income is a natural byproduct of the shifts that have been made within themselves. People are happier. They're purpose driven. There's just so much wonderful goodness that has transpired around this program. So back to the program. Give us the ladders to success. How is it structured? Tell us what we're going to be doing.
Okay, so initially in the first 3 modules, what we want to do is we want to wipe the slate clean, so to say. So we want to dig out everything that's in the way of us creating ultimate prosperity in our lives. So what we're doing is we're finding all those limiting beliefs. Where did we hear it? Who said it? And then I use processes for us to start we can't just switch a belief, right? We've got to first go in to see where's it coming from? Who did we hear this from? What impact is this made on my life? And if I hold on to it, what's going to happen? If I release it, what's going to happen? So as soon as we understand that internally, releasing it becomes easier. Because we can see that if I hold on to this, it's going to really hurt me. But if I choose to let go of this, because it's not even mine to start off with, then it's easier to let go of, and then we start replacing. We do exactly the same thing with emotions. And I'm sure you saw that when people went through module 3, that's to the emotional release. It's difficult. There's a lot of tears and things like that. And most people are so afraid of feeling those emotions of shame and fear and guilt and anger and blame and all of those things that we hold inside of us. But what's the point of holding those emotions inside of us, you know? So yes, you're going to cry some tears in module 3, but you come out of it on the other side feeling cleansed, feeling open, feeling I'm ready for more, I'm ready for new. And then from module 5 on, we start the reprogramming. We get you now that the slate is cleared, we can tap into our purpose. You can't tap into your purpose while you've got all those blocks in place, right? That first part has to happen. Then we say, okay, what is my soul's purpose? Why am I here? I came here for a reason. And the people that are living their lives on purpose are excited about life. You get up on a Monday morning, you're not like, oh no, Monday work. No, you're excited, you're inspired because you're living your purpose, right? So it doesn't matter to you if it's a Monday or a Sunday or a Wednesday. You're just inspired and you're excited about life. So once we tap into purpose, then we want to see, how do I bring my purpose into the work that I am doing? And I take people through a 4W process where it's a win for you, it's a win for your client, it's a win for the company, it's a win for the greater good. So if we what we do and we're bringing all of our energy, all of our passion, all of our excitement, all of our gifts, our talents, we're bringing all of that, and that's what we give, then can you imagine what we start? Right? And I work a lot with the masculine and feminine energies because we learned in life that in order for you to be successful, you've got to work really, really hard. You've got to sacrifice, work those really long hours. You've got to keep going back to the drawing board when things are not working. So it's all masculine energy of doing. It's the hard work. It's the thinking, the analyzing, the strategizing, all of that. But we forget about the feminine energy, which is, it inspires you. So when you take, and it doesn't mean the masculine is bad and the feminine is good, right? All I'm saying is we need both, but we've forgotten about the feminine. So the feminine is going to bring you the ideas of who you need to talk to, what you need to say, where you need to be. It's going to inspire you. It's going to give you the direction. It's going to be fun and light and playful. All right. But the feminine is also receptive, receiving. So with the masculine, we give. So we've all learned, especially if you are someone that is service-based and you feel like, I just want to help my clients. I just want to give them the best. I want to give my family the best. I want to give the world the best. So that is all masculine energy. And at some point you will be depleted if you do not also learn how to receive. So for example, we had one lady on the program that was excellent at giving. She would go above and beyond to serve her clients, but she didn't know how to receive. And as soon as she did that and she created the shift, she said, I made more money in the last 2 weeks than I did in the last 4 months. Why? Because she stepped into feminine energy and she opened herself up to receiving. So as much as we give, we receive as well. So the program is designed to kind of like give you a blueprint, a formula for creating prosperity in your life. And we do a lot of the manifestation work towards the end, where it's not just that I've got to really, really, really work hard to make all this money, but I just have to be at the right place at the right time with the right energy and be open to receiving. And
I um I looked
right?
at modules.
Opportunities came to you that out of the blue. So you know how it works.
I made a couple of analogies about module three. It was like going to the dentist. You never want to do it, but you have to make a decision whether you're comfortable with the pain you're in and you're willing to stay there. And once you go to the dentist, yeah, for a second it might hurt. That's your release, that's your catharsis. And after that, it's gone. Um, why are people fearful? Why are we fearful of a hard decision, taking a look in the hard place, um, seeing ourselves as anything other than perfect, seeing others, even our parents, as anything other than perfect, because we know that it's a critical part of this journey to see everything as it is and to forgive accordingly. And many of these conditionings come from our parents, they come from our upbringing. And that, how do we bridge this gap, Cass, without the feeling that we are sacrificing love or betrayal,
Yes.
but honoring ourselves?
Yeah, great question, Devan. And I think again, it comes down to the feminine energy that was suppressed, because the feminine is about emotion. It is about feeling. Feelings are meant to be felt. But if you look at the work world, right, it's like, don't bring your emotion in here. We are supposed to come in there and be at the top of our game all the time. If you show emotion, it's weakness. It's seen as weakness. Um, the most successful people have to dress a certain way. They have to show up a certain way, drive a certain car, live in a certain area. So we're being told that this is what success is. And you can't show anything else. And I'm telling you, the richest of the rich still have all of the emotional stuff there. They've just suppressed it. They've just pushed it aside. It's not for the public view, right?
Mm.
We're not talking about being half a person and having the financial success, but you don't have happiness. You don't have love. You don't have freedom in your life. We're saying we can have success and we can bring in who we really are, our true authenticity. And that's when we start to realize, hey, if I'm feeling, for example, fear or anger, that emotion actually carries a message to me. So if I'm suppressing
Absolutely.
that and I'm undermining, pushing it aside, I'm not getting the message. So what happens? It has to come back even bigger, even stronger to get my attention. So I might as well listen when the emotion comes up and say, okay, I'm just going to take 5 minutes here and I'm going to go in and allow myself to feel. And the freedom that comes from that is so immense because
It is the, what did
permission
I call it? Spinach to Popeye. It is that
is
powerful. It is that powerful. And also, very much what I found is that it gets easier every time. Just as when the universe is calling you, it gets louder and louder. But once you take the turn and you start building as opposed to knocking yourself down, you recognize the patterns, the processes become easier, you spot the fear when it arises, and instead of cowering away, your attitude is, okay, what are you trying to show me? You get
it's an
addicted to the
adventure.
process.
Yeah, it goes from like feeling those dense emotions to suddenly, you're free. You're lighter and you wonder, like, why didn't I do this 20 years ago? I've been carrying this around for 20 years when I could have dropped it and travel light. So I think, it's what we've been told about emotion, showing it being weak. That's the misconception that we've got to overcome now. Um, I'm not saying, go and cry in public and all over social media. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we can withdraw for a few minutes for ourselves and we can go in and feel that and heal, really heal that at the root level.
I think even in business, the paradigms have shifted. The module of, facts, figures, numbers, straight to the point, doesn't cut it anymore, because your competitive advantage is in the connection you're making with your clients. And you cannot do that without being in an emotional space, without connecting with them. Because everybody offers everything of the same in most areas. And if you do, your competitive advantages only last for a little while until somebody else comes along. So how do we take that into an organization and shift the mindsets? And if you listen to guys like, I'm a big fan of a book called Simon Sinek, and he very much speaks along these terms. One cannot separate personal development from organizational development anymore. And it's one and the same thing. They go hand in glove. And therein, more important becomes selecting the right people with the right EQ for the task that you want. The assumption is that everybody's got the IQ because there's more than enough people to fill roles. Hence, we have a problem with employment. But there aren't that many with emotional intelligence and the receptivity and the consciousness awakened to take those characteristics and shift them into an organization and then take that organization to another level. It's an area that needs to be looked at beyond the self for sure. Perhaps something you and I will do in the future, eh? Yes.
Yeah, I love the work of Simon Sinek, and especially when he talks about leadership and so on. And I think, now when we look at it, what worked prior to 2020 is not working anymore. And most people are scratching their heads wondering why, especially if you've been in business for a while. And the things that you did to get clients, to make your money prior to 2020, you found suddenly after that, I'm doing the same things. In fact, I'm doing more, but it's not working anymore. And the reason for that is quite deep. It's because as a human consciousness, we are shifting, right? If you look at our 3D or third dimensional consciousness, it is based on what we can see, what we can feel, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we touch, right? So that's what it's based on. So we feel that if I can see it, then it's real. If I can hear it, if I can, use my senses, then that's the real world. But getting to a point where we're understanding that there's so much more than just those five senses in the 3D world. So when we start tapping into the 5D world, now we're moving on a quantum level. We're moving in terms of energy, frequencies, vibration, and we're starting to understand that we can create our own reality. We don't just have to sit here and take what is thrown at us and then react to that. We can create our own reality. We become one with prosperity, with love, with peace, become one with those things. But there's a road between the 3D and the 5D, which is the 4D. That's the right? And that 4D world is the world where we go within, where we look within ourselves and we release what needs to be released. We can't take that going forward, right? So we have to release that. Then we've got to come to that place where we do the transformation work. We transform into these beings that can now create, these beings that are masculine and feminine balanced. We come into a state of wholeness. Then we step into the 5D world where we're creating our reality. And what joy is that?
Absolutely. It's empowering, it's light, it's fun. At the basis, it's fun. And who couldn't do with more fun in their lives? Really, it's a place without anxiety and angst. It's you want everyone to be there. That's when you're there, you want everybody to be there. It's wonderful in that sense.
Yeah.
And
I think that's what drives me as well, Devan. It's like when you learn the stuff and you see that it is working, I can see for myself, for my daughter, I could see for every single person in the group, it's working. So suddenly it's this excitement, like, but I want everyone to know this. I want everybody to have the formula, Why shouldn't everybody go along on this journey to prosperity, to stepping into your best life, to creating whatever it is you desire? Why shouldn't we?
Why
That's
shouldn't they? It's there. It really is there. It's like walking through an orchard and being hungry, but being afraid to pick a fruit off and eat it. Go ahead, eat the fruit. You won't stop. It's delicious. But the fear is a crippler in every sense. In my personal journeys into emotional spaces, um, fear came up every time. And when you recognize fear as just a balloon filled with hot air, pop the bloody thing, I say. Because the things we
yeah.
fear generally never happen.
Yeah. And I think, for me personally, I'm not a person that's going to go jump out of a plane, that's going to go bungee jumping. I'm not that person, right? So a lot of times people are told, like when you feel fear, you got to march ahead and conquer it and all of that. And I don't believe that, okay? Because that wouldn't work for me. I think for the majority of people, you got to understand why the fear is there. And when you can see, oh, this is the source of the fear, so let me go heal it there, the fear dissipates,
Absolutely.
right? The same thing with blame, with shame, with anger, with guilt. We feel all of these things. We can't just, go like a battering ram and say, right, I'm going to push my way through this. A tiny percentage of the world's population may be able to do it that way, but not the majority. The majority will say, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. I'm frozen. I feel like I'm not making headway, and they wonder, why am I stuck? You're stuck because the emotion is stuck in your body, right? We haven't healed that. And when we go within and we get to the root of something and we heal it at that level, then suddenly, boom, the emotion's gone. And you wonder, like, hey, I used to always feel this way, but I don't feel that way anymore.
And
And
it's happened time and time
that
again.
release is automatic. Yeah.
Doesn't the problem just dissipate when its purpose
Yes.
has been served?
Yeah, and
When
I think,
direction.
you got to feel, but what's 10 minutes sitting in sadness or 10 minutes sitting with that emotion? I'd rather do that than jump out of an airplane to prove that I'm fearless.
In many ways, those fears, they're like a screaming toddler, your kid. And as much as you want it to keep quiet, it doesn't. And as much as you want to strangle it, you can't. So until you go to that toddler and find out, okay, what's going on here? And start that internal dialogue. Because these things do come from a place that is you, where love exists. And it's being counterbalanced by the fear of striking out. Now, Cass, this program was amazing for me. I know it goes on the back of other programs you've done, particularly in the relationship space. Um, and you've done work for 30 years in the corporate environment as well. Here's a $1 million question, Cass. What's next?
Ooh, what's next? Oh, I love that question because my mind is always moving like that, what next? I think what's next for me is I want to create a community of people
Yeah.
that are doing work like this, that are willing to take that leap, go within, heal what needs to be healed, and step into their purpose, live their best lives. And you'll notice that, we don't have a lot of support when it's our families or, the people that we've grown up
Yeah.
with. They see you in a certain way and they're comfortable with you in a certain way. And when you want to break out of that shell and expand and step into your fullness, they're not comfortable with you that way. So I want to create a community where people can support each other. And you know how well accountability buddies work, right? So
Yeah.
I'm able to be able to come there, be comfortable, to be themselves, growing together, learning together, supporting each other's growth, celebrating each other. So I want to create a massive community like that, and that's coming soon.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Cass. The impression that's been left, that changes to me a huge amount of gratitude to you and to all of my teammates, my buddies that that we went on this journey together, because we all learned from one another, all coming with different issues, different things to tackle. And when you do it as a group, you get to see your issues through everybody else's eyes. And that safe space that's created, you know, it is a space of love. And that is what has come through. And Kes, thank you to you. Thank you for your time this morning in sharing this. I believe it's hugely important for everybody to learn about this. So I am absolutely chuffed that you were able to do this and we can share this information with everybody. And thank you, Kes. Any parting
Thank
words
you. Oh,
to,
thank you so much. Thank
to
you.
the growing souls?
It was such an absolute pleasure having you on the program, especially the sense of humor, keeping things light. And I know you were, like supporting other people on the program as well. So I really, loved the whole transformation that happened. And I think my parting message for everybody is that there's a part of you that is ready to thrive. Are you going to answer that call? Because it's coming. If you feel that sense inside of you, I'm meant for more. I'm meant for greater things. I desire a greater life. There's something more. If you feel it, answer the call. Answer the call now. Make a decision for yourself.
I cannot end this on a more powerful note than that. A call out to everybody to answer their higher purpose and fulfill their potential. Kas Naidoo, thank you so much to everybody who's going to be viewing this. Thank you as well. Join us for more. And Infinite Soul welcomes you back whenever we cross paths. Peace and love to
Thank
you
you.
all.
Thank you so
Devan
much,
Naidoo.
Devan. Absolute
And
pleasure.
we'll catch you
Thank
next
you.
time. Cheers.